The glass shattered against the marble floor, but the laughter in the dining room swallowed the sound. The diners, rich, glittering, untouchable, howled at the sight of Carmen Jenkins, the waitress with $42 in her bank account and a lifetime of bad luck behind her, kneeling in humiliation, all because she dared to help a frail, old woman who had stumbled near the entrance. Her manager's hiss was like poison in her ear. "You're fired." Phones were raised. Tiffany Reed, the restaurant social queen, recording every second for her followers. Carmen's cheeks burned as laughter echoed around her. She thought she'd reached rock bottom. But no one in that room knew that the woman they mocked wasn't just a stranger. She was Eleanor Hayes, mother of the most powerful billionaire in America. And Eleanor Hayes was about to make a phone call that would change everything. The Gilded Spoon. The Gilded Spoon was more than a restaurant. It was a kingdom for the rich, a 3 Michelin star monument of arrogance on the 54th floor of Hayes Tower. The windows didn't just overlook the city. They judged it. And in that world, Carmen Jenkins was invisible. Her days started at 5 a.m. in a peeling one-room apartment. Her alarm screamed. Her coffee tasted like burnt despair. A cracked phone screen held a picture of her younger brother, Leo, smiling at his medical school orientation. He was her reason to keep going. He was why she endured long shifts, aching feet, and cruel customers. By the time she reached downtown, after 2 buses and a fight to keep her uniform clean, she had already used up every ounce of patience. Mr. Harrison, the manager, stood like a general inspecting troops. "Reed," he said, tapping Tiffany's shoulder. "Perfect. Just the neutral shade I required." Tiffany preened. Then his gaze cut to Carmen. "Jenkins, is that a hand-sewn button?" "It fell off on the bus," she stammered. "I replaced it this morning." "It's a millimeter off-center," he sneered. "And the thread screams poverty. Fix it, or I'll fix your employment status." "Yes, Mr. Harrison." He turned to the room. "The Brimleys are here, table 7. Tiffany, they requested you. Jenkins, you're on water and bread. Do not speak to the guests. Do not make eye contact. You are furniture." Carmen's jaw tightened. A dinner of humiliation. The Brimleys were the kind of people who never earned their wealth. Chad. Brimley 3 scrolled through his phone as his fiancée Muffy whined about the imported water. "Is this volcanic or just filtered tap?" Muffy sneered. "It's filtered Icelandic volcanic." Chad didn't look up. "Tiffany, I thought we requested the silent model." Tiffany laughed. "Chad, you're terrible." She turned to Carmen. "Just pour and vanish, dear." Carmen bit the inside of her cheek until she tasted blood. She poured the water, set down bread. "No carbs." Muffy cried. "Take it away." "Bring me a single-origin half-CF oat milk latte with 1 grain of raw sugar. 1. The espresso machine is on the bar floor, ma'am. We don't tip it." "Are you telling me no?" "She'll get it," Tiffany snapped. "Run, Carmen. Try not to trip." The laughter followed her all the way to the bar. Hours passed in humiliation. Carmen moved like a ghost, clearing $300 steaks and refilling glasses for people who never looked at her. The sky outside turned stormy. Purple clouds bruising the horizon. Then the door slid open. An old woman stumbled inside, drenched from the rain. Her gray hair was matted. Her coat, once elegant, was now worn. She clutched a handbag like a lifeline. Mr. Harrison froze, his mask of civility cracking. "Security," he hissed into his mic. The hostess stammered. "Ma'am, do you have a reservation?" "I'm here to meet my son." "Damien," the woman said weakly. "He told me to meet him." Laughter burst from Chad's table. "Damien the dishwasher?" he jeered. Startled, the woman stepped back, slipped on the wet marble, and fell hard. Her handbag spilled open, scattering lipstick, glasses, and a small framed photo of a young man in a graduation gown. The room went still. Mr. Harrison's voice broke the silence. "Don't touch her. She might sue. She's a vagrant." Tiffany whispered gleefully. Phone raised. "Oh, this is tragic. She's ruining the floor." The woman groaned, clutching her wrist. Carmen saw her face. Pale, terrified. Something inside her snapped. "Carmen, don't you dare," Harrison warned. She dropped her tray. Crystal flutes shattered around her. Gasps. But Carmen was already kneeling beside the woman. "Ma'am, are you okay? Let me help you." Harrison shrieked. Tiffany filmed. "So unprofessional," she whispered, delighted. Carmen gathered the woman's things. "Don't move," she said gently. "You may have hurt your wrist." Harrison barked. "You're contaminating the dining room." "She's hurt," Carmen shot back. Tiffany laughed. "She's getting grime all over your uniform." Carmen. "Disgusting." Ignoring them, Carmen lifted the woman with steady strength. "Let's get you somewhere warm." "Where do you think you're going?" Harrison bellowed. "To the break room," Carmen replied. "I'm calling a paramedic." "That's against policy." "Then write me up," she said flatly. She pushed through the staff door, leaving behind a stunned dining room and an apoplectic manager. The woman in the break room. The kitchen was chaos. Heat, shouting, steam. "This isn't a hospital," barked Chef Marco. "She's injured." "I need a first aid kit," Carmen said, her voice like steel. The staff went silent. Carmen guided the trembling woman into the tiny break room, wrapped her in her cardigan, and tended to her wrist. "Thank you, dear," the woman murmured. Her voice, though weak, carried refinement. "They called you a vagrant," Carmen said softly. The woman's eyes, sharp, intelligent, met hers. "They assumed you didn't." Carmen smiled faintly. "My grandmother taught me not to judge by coats, but by character." "I'm Eleanor," the woman said. "I was supposed to meet my son Damien. He works in this building. Do you have a phone? We can call him." "It's dead," Eleanor said apologetically. The door slammed open. Harrison stormed in with 2 security guards. "Miss Jenkins, you're fired. Effective immediately." "What?" "You caused a scene, destroyed property, violated policy. You're done." "She was hurt." Carmen protested. "She's a trespasser. Get them both out." "Sir, this was my fault," Eleanor began. "Silence." Harrison roared. The guards hesitated but complied. They escorted the 2 women through service corridors to a loading dock, rain pouring outside. Carmen trembled. "Fired. Broke. Finished." "I've ruined your life," Eleanor whispered. "It's just a job," Carmen lied. She pressed her last $20 into Eleanor's good hand. "Take this. Get home safe." "You've been fired and you're giving me money?" Eleanor said, stunned. "Kindness doesn't have a price tag." She removed her thin coat, draping it over Eleanor's shoulders. "You're soaked. Please, just go." Carmen turned and walked into the rain, cold and shaking. Eleanor watched her disappear, then straightened. The frail old woman vanished. The power in her eyes returned. She pulled out a sleek, encrypted phone. "Mr. Graves," she said. "Yes, Mrs. Hayes?" "I need you to find everything about a young woman named Carmen Jenkins. And find out who owns a Gilded Spoon." "We do, ma'am. A Hayes Corp subsidiary." Eleanor smiled slowly. How perfect. The fall. The next 2 weeks were a nightmare. Carmen returned her uniform only to have her final paycheck slashed by damage fees. She had $54.64 left. Rent due in 10 days. Her brother's tuition in 3 weeks. Every job application hit a wall. Harrison had blacklisted her. Then Tiffany's video surfaced, edited to make Carmen look violent. "Crazed waitress attacks elderly woman," the caption said. 50,000 views. Thousands of cruel comments. Harrison and Chad Brimley even left comments praising his leadership. Carmen wasn't just unemployed. She was publicly ruined. Her money ran out. The eviction notice came. Bright orange. She sobbed until her chest hurt. That night, Leo called. His voice was full of pride and love. "I aced my midterm, Carmen. I'm doing it, thanks to you." She forced cheer into her voice. "That's amazing, Lee. I'm proud of you." He hesitated. "Are you okay? You sound off." "I'm fine," she lied. "Just tired. Love you, kiddo." After hanging up, she stared at the eviction notice, then at the bottle of sleeping pills. For a moment, she wondered if that would be easier. Then came a knock. She froze. The landlord? The sheriff? No. Standing in the dim hallway was a man who looked like an expensive shadow, impeccably dressed, expression carved from granite. Two more men stood behind him. "Miss Jenkins?" he asked, voice smooth as polished steel. "Why, yes. I'm Mr. Graves, Chief of Staff for Mrs. Eleanor Hayes." Carmen blinked. "Eleanor? Is she her wrist?" "She has recovered fully. She insists on seeing you. Immediately." I can't. I'm being evicted." "Your arrears have been settled." He nodded toward the orange notice. "You paid my rent?" "It was a minor transaction," he said. "Please come with me. A car is waiting." Carmen hesitated, then realized she had nothing left to lose. "Okay," she whispered. "You won't need your keys," Mr. Graves said coolly. "Your old life is over." The black car glided through the rain-slicked streets like a phantom. Carmen sat rigid, clutching her trembling hands in her lap. She tried to understand what was happening, how the woman she had helped was connected to the surreal chain of events. When the car stopped before Hayes Tower, she stared through the glass in disbelief. The skyscraper glittered against the night sky, the same tower where she'd been humiliated, fired, and thrown out. Two guards opened the doors with robotic precision. Mr. Graves led her through private elevators lined with gold-trimmed mirrors. Her reflection looked ghostly, hollow-eyed, hair still damp from the rain. When the elevator doors opened, she stepped into a penthouse that didn't look real. Crystal chandeliers, black marble floors, walls of glass overlooking the entire city. And there, standing by the window, was Eleanor Hayes. But she wasn't the frail, trembling woman from that night. Her hair was pinned in an elegant twist. A tailored suit replaced a worn coat. Confidence radiated from her like a quiet storm. "Carmen," she said softly, "you came." Carmen could only nod, unsure what to say. "Please sit." Eleanor gestured to a velvet chair. Carmen obeyed, heart hammering. "I owe you an apology," Eleanor began, "and an explanation." "You don't owe me anything," Carmen murmured. "I was just doing what anyone should have done." "Perhaps," Eleanor said, "but few people did. You were surrounded by witnesses, wealthy, educated, well-dressed witnesses, and yet only you came forward." She walked to a small table and poured tea. "You see, I was there to test something. My son, Damien Hayes, you may have heard the name, owns the Gilded Spoon and half the skyline you see outside. But I've grown disillusioned with what wealth does to people. I want to see kindness unmasked by status." Carmen frowned. "You were pretending?" "I was incognito," Eleanor said, lips curling faintly. "To observe. I didn't expect to fall, nor did I expect the cruelty that followed." She looked at Carmen, really looked at her. "You risked your job for a stranger. You defended dignity when others mocked it. That kind of courage cannot be taught. It can only be revealed." Carmen swallowed hard. "I lost everything because of it." "No," Eleanor said firmly. "You lost nothing. You shed what you never needed." She set her teacup down. "Mr. Graves, bring it in." A folder appeared on the table. Inside were documents, contract certificates, and a gleaming metal card with Carmen's name engraved. Carmen blinked. "What is this?" "Your new position," Eleanor said simply. "Director of Philanthropic Development, Hayes Foundation." I don't understand. I have no degree, no experience." "What you have," Eleanor interrupted, "is integrity. The rest, my dear, can be learned." Tears filled Carmen's eyes. "I can't accept this." "You already have," Eleanor smiled. "You've been accepting injustice your whole life. It's time to accept opportunity." Mr. Graves added quietly, "You will oversee funding for housing, education, and rehabilitation programs." Mrs. Hayes insisted that the first scholarship fund be named after someone important to you. "Leo," Carmen whispered. Eleanor nodded. "The Leo Jenkins Medical Scholarship has already been registered." Carmen's breath caught. How did you?" "I'm making my business to know what matters to the people I reward." For the first time in her life, Carmen couldn't speak. Reckoning at the Gilded Spoon. A week later, the Gilded Spoon buzzed with rumors. Mr. Harrison was pacing near the entrance, panic creasing his forehead. Word had come down that a special inspection was underway. When the elevator doors opened, he straightened, pasted on his customer service smile, and froze. Eleanor Hayes entered first. Behind her was Damian Hayes, tall, commanding, with the kind of cold authority that made men shrink. And beside him walked Carmen Jenkins, dressed in a tailored navy suit, calm and composed. Harrison's face drained of color. Mrs. Hayes. Mr. Hayes. W. Welcome, what an honor. Damian's expression didn't change. You're the manager? Yes, sir. Excellent. You'll be escorting us on a tour. Carmen said quietly, No need, Mr. Hayes. I know this place well. Her tone was polite, but her eyes, they burned with quiet justice. Eleanor's voice was cold. This establishment humiliated and dismissed a woman for showing kindness. It filmed her suffering for amusement. Mr. Harrison, do you deny this? I was following policy. Policy, Eleanor repeated icily. That word, so convenient when hiding behind cruelty. Damian stepped forward. You're dismissed. Effective immediately. What? But I... Security will escort you out. The guards moved without hesitation. Tiffany, pale and trembling behind the counter, tried to hide her phone. And you? Eleanor said sharply, are the one who filmed that video? It was just a joke. A joke that destroyed her reputation, Eleanor said. Fortunately for you, Ms. Jenkins is far kinder than I am. She has chosen not to press charges. However, your employment here is terminated. Permanently. Tiffany's eyes filled with tears. Please, Mrs. Hayes. Thank Carmen. Eleanor said coolly, Not me. Carmen looked at her, and in that moment chose compassion. Go home, she said softly. Start over. Don't ever humiliate someone weaker than you again. Tiffany nodded wordlessly, shame flooding her face. Eleanor turned to the staff. This restaurant will close for restructuring. Every policy, every management practice, rewritten under new leadership. She placed a manicured hand on Carmen's shoulder. Ms. Jenkins will oversee it. The room erupted in shocked whispers. Harrison's voice broke as security dragged him away. You can't let her run this place. She's a nobody. Eleanor's gaze turned to steel. Not anymore. The rebuilding. Weeks passed. Carmen transformed the Gilded Spoon from a temple of arrogance into a sanctuary of respect. Employees were treated with dignity. Meals were donated nightly to shelters. The same marble floor that had once reflected cruelty now reflected compassion. Word spread. Customers came not for prestige, but for the story, the restaurant that rebuilt itself on kindness. One night, Carmen stood by the glass wall, watching the city lights shimmer below. Eleanor joined her. You've done beautifully, Eleanor said. Carmen smiled faintly. I just wanted it to be a place where no one feels small. Eleanor placed a hand over hers. You've done more than that. You've reminded an empire what humanity looks like. They stood in silence, the city glowing beneath them. Carmen whispered, You said once that kindness reveals character. What did you see in me that night? Eleanor smiled gently. I saw the kind of woman I once hoped my own son would marry. Carmen laughed softly, eyes glistening. Careful, Mrs. Hayes. You might give him ideas. Oh, he already has, Eleanor teased. Across the room, Damian Hayes met Carmen's gaze. And for the first time, she saw something there that wasn't pity or admiration. It was respect. And maybe something more. Epilogue. Months later, the Carmen Jenkins Initiative became a national foundation, funding scholarships, housing programs, and training for underprivileged youth. Leo graduated at the top of his class, holding a plaque that bore his sister's name. Carmen attended the ceremony quietly. Sitting in the back row, Eleanor was beside her, smiling like proud family. When Leo found her afterward, he hugged her so tightly she could barely breathe. You did it, Carmen, he whispered. She smiled. No, we did. The crowd roared as he walked the stage. And for the first time in her life, Carmen Jenkins, the girl who had been invisible, finally felt seen. Because sometimes one act of kindness doesn't just change a life. It changes the world that tried to break it.